Hi everyone, let's discuss some of the best practices while developing the Node.js applications. So I'm sharing some Node.js tips for the developers. First one is we should use environment variables in our Node.js application. So what it does, it is used to manage the sensitive data like API keys or database URLs. Okay, and these environment variables helps us to avoid hard coding sensitive information into our code, keeping the code secure. Okay, that's why we use environment variables. Okay, so basically environment variables enhance the security in our Node.js applications. And the second tip is use middleware where in Express.js. Okay, so we should use middleware to handle common tasks like logging, authentication, and error handling. Okay, so middleware functions, it process requests before they reach the final route, keeping our code modular and clean. Okay, so middleware organizes our app logic, making it reusable and easy to maintain. Now the third one is we should handle gracefully errors gracefully. Okay, so we should always handle errors gracefully to avoid crashing our application. So using a global error handler or wrapping our code in try catch, it ensures that our app stays stable even when something goes wrong. Okay, so in case of some errors, our application should not get crashed. So we should handle that errors in a good way. So we should use try catch. We should wrap our code in try catch. Okay, and catch is for handling the errors. Now fourth one is we should use NodeMon for development. Okay, so use NodeMon to automatically restart our server during the development, because NodeMon watches our files and restarts the server when changes are detected. So it saves times during the development phase. Okay, so NodeMon makes development faster. Now the next tip is use the cluster module for scalability. Okay, so we should use the cluster module to utilize multiple CPU cores for better performance. Node.js runs on a single threaded by default. So the cluster module allows us to create multiple instances of our application to handle more requests. Okay, so clustering helps us to handle more load by using all the available CPU cores. So now coming to the next point, we should validate the user input. Okay, so we should always validate the user input to prevent security vulnerabilities. So validating user input, it helps us to avoid issues like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and other attacks. Okay, so we should validate the user input through forms. Okay, so now the next point is we should use streams for the large data. Okay, so we should use streams to process large amounts of data efficiently. So stream, what it does, it processes data piece by piece and reduces the memory usage and improves overall performance. Okay, so streams are ideal for handling large files or real-time data. Now the next tip is we should optimize package.json. So what does it mean? We should keep our package.json optimized to avoid unnecessary dependencies. So we should remove unused dependencies that will reduce our app size and improves overall performance. Now the next point is use caching. Okay, we should use caching for faster responses. Okay, so means storing the frequently requested data in memory reduces the need for the repeated database queries. So every time we should not go to the database and hit the database for query. Instead, we should store that data in caching. And every time in the new request, the request should go to the cache and will check if the data is there. It will take from the cache. Otherwise, if data is not in the present in the cache, only then it will go to the database. Okay, so now the next point is, next tip is, we should use async and we should avoid callbacks. Okay, so use async await for asynchronous code. Okay, so we should use async await instead of callbacks or promises. Okay, so that will make our code easier to debug and read. Okay, and will prevent us from the callback hell. So always use async await for the asynchronous codes. And guys, all these topics I have covered in my earlier videos in the depth. So if you want, you can go through that videos.